Alright guys, Checkmate here again. I hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. Dashy and Scrappy finally locking in for the World Championship, the final push to the World Championship in a couple of weeks' time, and not exactly in the way that you might have been expecting, but also some reaction to Black Ops 7 still on the horizon. Talks about the maps that we might well get back into the game and what that means for the competitive scene as well. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I'd greatly appreciate it. Plenty to get into today. Starting really with the World Championship on the horizon. They've got the CDL Champs 2025 pack that's now available. These are the things that they've got prepped in the game here. I will say, like, the cosmetics and stuff this season, again, as always, they probably could be better. Maybe BO7, that will be the case. You know, it would be nice if the COD League stuff was just the best of anything, because then it was, you know, I don't know, encourage people to get involved in the competitive scene on some level. That's not usually how it goes. Speaking of champs, though, Gentlemates aren't going to be there. One question for you guys, what are they going to do? What's their roster going to look like? Because Gataga, the poor guy really, he started the season so optimistically. Honestly, the team was okay. They were just losing all those game 5s, right? Like, they actually weren't that bad at the start of the season. I mean, they were bad, but, like, they could at least win a map. Then it went even worse. They blew up their team. They made some roster changes. The energy there in Madrid was actually amazing from the French fans that travelled down. And look, it's a massive organisation, Gentlemates. They've got huge support from the French scene. They got rid of Linz, though. They decided that Linz was not the man for the job. They benched him. They moved forward with a different roster. Were they any better post Linz? Look, did Linz deserve to get, to stay on the team? You can justify the change, but it's not like they got better once they got rid of him. You know, Johnny was okay at the end of the season. The FeLo change didn't really do what they wanted. Kismet effectively got the keys. And look, they had some okay results at times, but they were not even close to making it to champs. They barely won any series all year. So what are they going to do for the World Cup? This is the big question for teams like Falcons right now. Falcons could have decided after they failed to make it to champs, which was a long time ago now, but, you know, they could have just blown it up after Major 4. But they've decided not to, because the talent that's on the table for them to currently sign is not really what they want to do. And maybe the same for Gentlemates as well. My feeling is, though, that last year, Gentlemates, they turned up to the World Cup with a team of, I think they had like Bance and Cobra and those guys. I would be surprised if they don't do something similar again. I mean, at the end of the day, as much as it is like a club World Cup and there's not really, countries involved, it would surprise me if Gentlemates don't just pick up Linz again, pick up Cobra, and form like a bit of a French team. Surely it's got to be worth a go, and then it might give Gentlemates a bit more insight to what they want to do with their roster for next season, because I can't imagine many, if any, of these players are going to stay going forward. So if you're Gentlemates, what do you do? That's the question. BO7 is on the horizon, as we know. It is this year's game. There has been talk that maybe Trek put a bit more time into even the upcoming BO7 than they did into BO6. Illy was talking, oh, maybe I'll come back and make a return. And there's been lots of talk about the maps as well. The rumour has it that they're going to bring back a load of the BO2 maps. Now, we've seen plenty of those come back anyway. Raid, Standoff, Express over the last couple of years. Made the return to Cold War, for example. There's other maps as well that could be considered. I mean, there was lots of great competitive maps in that game. You know, Yemen, for example. Obviously, Slums we've seen come back plenty of times. And even other ones, not bad either. So there was just a lot of talk about this, because maybe it shouldn't just be BO2 maps. Maybe it should be other maps as well. The feeling was that they were going to do effectively what they did with MW2, MW3, and just bring back all the old school 2009 Modern Warfare 2 maps, which was fine, but they weren't really competitive maps, to be honest. BO2, on the other hand, did have more actual proper competitive maps, so bringing back all of those maps with some additional ones wouldn't be the worst idea in the world. Decimate says at Dashy Chals, no way they're giving us Express also, right? So, Express, of course, came back in Black Ops Cold War, but originally a Black Ops 2 map, and Dashy's maybe excited for the proposal of that returning as well. There's also other kind of BO2 classics, such as Meltdown. There was a Search and Destroy specific map. There's some legendary moments on that map. Of course, it was the map where the first ever World Championship was won, when Killer clutched the 1v1 to win on that Meltdown Search and Destroy for free co-impact all the way back in the day. Karma had a Ninja Defuse on it. So, some other legendary maps to mention, but I do think they're looking at certainly recent times, and with OpTic kind of giving the throwback to their 4P, we'll get to in a second, there were certainly some maps in this game, in Black Ops 3, that could be considered as well. Obviously, I'm kind of biased, but we talked about Fringe coming back into this game. Obviously, we know that in BO4, plenty of those maps, Arsenal, Frequency, Gridlock, etc., not been brought back. They brought Hacienda back into this game, but none of those others have returned yet. So I think if you ask the fans, if you ask the players, they'll probably tell you, look, yeah, okay, sure, if you want to remaster all the BO2 maps, like, okay, I guess. But I think we'd kind of prefer that if you are going to remaster maps and not make new ones, and I totally understand that many people want new maps, and I get it, and we got that last year in MW3, and it was fantastic. But I don't know how much I trust the developers to really execute on that. But speaking of some of those other maps, this is obviously the OpTic Dynasty, when they were not really yet the Dynasty, but they were kind of becoming it in this period, when they won 4 tournaments on the bounce. Now, people always debate the merits of these tournaments. They won the Stage 1 playoffs, which was a very legit tournament. Of course, it was single elimination, but it was Game 7 at Round 11. They took down Rise Nation. They went up 3-0 in the series OpTic. Then it went all the way to the Game 7. Then they went to the Crown Melbourne Invitational, so the winners of each of the regions' playoffs. It was a weird format that season, unfortunately, for BO3. Like, even today's format, in some respects, would have had more COD getting played than we did back then. But then they went to Melbourne, out of Australia, played that tournament with, it was Millennium from Europe, and then of course it was the Mindfreak team from Australia, and I think they had a couple of other teams there in attendance as well. They played the tournament, OpTic won it. This is the tournament where like Pamaj was coaching the guys at ESWC. That was not the Esports World Cup now, that was just ESWC. That was a tournament out in Paris. The crowd always went crazy for this one. They won that, then they came back to Anaheim and they won that tournament as well. So pretty legendary stuff. Scump was reacting to it yesterday, really 9 years ago yesterday was when this all went down. So, OpTic kind of completing that pretty magical run. So I've got a couple of clips to share for you guys in a second. This doesn't, there's not many teams that have ever done anything like this, right? It was a big talking point at the start of this season that FaZe were on for, potentially a serious 4-peat going on. They won the World Cup last year. Obviously, there's some debate because in the off-season, there was the K-Sun 50k LAN. So does that count? I mean, it's serious bread, and they didn't win that one. They did win the World Cup, though, last year. They won Major 1 this year. They won Major 2 this year. So, FaZe were on for a pretty historic run. Not something that's often been done in COD history at all. Complexity, the Farico team from back in the day won a fair few tournaments in a row. But, yeah, OpTic did the 4-peat, and we've not really seen anything like that since. And it may be a very long time until we see it, because even with Thieves now winning 2 in a row, I mean, look, theoretically, could Thieves win Champs and the World Cup and make the 4-peat happen? Absolutely, that would be unbelievably impressive. But in the CDL era, it's just not really happened. The competition is in many respects been too high. The other funny BO3 story that Theory gave, Donny Temp sat down with him and had a chat, and they were talking about, this is what I mentioned the other day, yes, we talk about ban and protect, whether it should return, whether it could be a positive for the competitive play. But Treyarch and, well, certainly Activision, maybe it wasn't even Treyarch, maybe it was Activision, they were pretty gung-ho on the idea that they didn't need to ban anything, and they were talking about using shock charges. And Theo was like, how does that make any sense? We've had Claymores banned in competitive for 15 years. It doesn't make any sense to bring in shock charges, as you guys know what they were back in the day. But going into the World Championship, we know that there's not that many players that have been playing an awful lot of Call of Duty. Yeah, they're grinding during the day, they're playing scrims and whatever. But outside of that, are they, grinding 8s? Are they grinding chals? Not many players really are. And last night we saw this. COD is so dead that Dashy and Scrap are playing chess. So here they are on chess.com getting a game. And I think Dashy's on Matty Craig's account, and then we've got Thomas Ernst on the other side, who has a grand total of 109 elo. But I feel like he played a bit, I don't know. I don't play chess very often nowadays, but I have done on occasion. And if you guys have ever played on chess.com or whatever, do you start at 1,000 elo on chess.com, or is it 1,200? I forget what it is anyway. Your default rating, maybe it's lower now. I'm not 100% sure how they do it. But yeah, 100 elo is certainly one of the elo scores of all time. But to be fair to Scrap, he actually gets the dub. He puts together a spectacular attack here on Dashy's King. And I'm sure that Illy would have a few thoughts on it. We know that he used to play chess when he was younger. So people were joking about, what this looks like. The two guys really, the thought leaders of the competitive COD scene playing chess going into the World Championship. But I think it tells you a little bit about the state of Call of Duty right now, that these guys are just, having a good time on stream. We also know that Dashy and Scrap are good boys, right? And it always has been a bit of a conversation for the future of certain respective teams. Dashy and Scrub are arguably the two players that shoot the straightest as well from an AR perspective, I would say. It's a bit harder to tell in this game, mainly because the gun shoots so straight, right? Like, it's such a laser beam, the aims, that you can't really tell some ARs, some other ARs. I mean, like, back in the day, it was obvious who the best ARs were, but it's not been so clear as of late. From, like, when you watch their perspective, right? Like, you know, back in the day, watching Dashy was like an otherworldly experience. Nowadays, it doesn't quite feel like it's the same story. But yeah, I'll share a couple of clips here, then we'll close out the video.
That's fine. We take that one. Uh-oh, he's in a bad spot. I found a great move. Wow, I found a good move. Uh-oh!
I don't want him. I don't want him anymore. Just take him. I have bigger plans.
Heard you with the bigger plans.
I don't have bigger plans. Wait, why did I think that? Why did I think I had bigger plans? I don't have anything.
GG!
How did I lose? Oh my god, I didn't even see the rook, bro. I didn't even see it.
Bang!
Oh my god. What?
Come on now.
Oh my god. Start thinking if
Start to face it.
I can't.
Why not?
We're not even on.
Okay, so here's the tweet. The 4-peat 9 years ago today. Holy shit, that makes me feel ancient.
Pushing from the defensive side of things could break the setup.
That's another one. It's 4 versus 2. They're able to pick up 1 kill. All of a sudden, 2v2. They're picking them up. It's now 4 down. OpTic Gaming has done it.
They go huge. Karma in the final round picks up 2 big kills.
Coming on the wall run, he's taking down Tommy attacks. He does
Dude, Black Ops 3, what a fucking game, man. Oh my god.
Tommy now alone with Madcat. Madcat the only one, he picks up the kill. 1v2, he needs to stay alive.
Psych!
And OpTic Gaming takes the S&D 6-2, and they win here up against Millennium.
Is this...
Oh, dude, there's hella clips from this. Hell yeah.
It's just phenomenal play out of OpTic time and time again. The shots raining in and in.
Damn, that was 26 and 14 right here. That was
2016 champions with a 3-0 sweep on a splice in the last game of the tournament.
They came, they saw, they laid.
Wait, that was finals?
OpTic Gaming knew
Was that finals?
they were a championship Sunday team, and that has been proven here again today.
Oh, these are all finals. These are all the finals.
He sees him in the corner. He's got to push him. He has to make a play. Formal trying to stay away.
Yeah, we were going map 5, map 7.
Around the back. There's not enough time to work with.
Faceno left the game.
Has done it.
Damn, he hit the rage quit on land. That's crazy work.
Just to stay alive. Waits just enough. Checks the bomb. Throws a nade on it.
Wow, good times, man. Great times. Look at the boys.
Wow, what incredible stuff.
Look at that, T-Fel Johnson. Hell yeah, dude. The 4-peat. Legendary shit right there. Legendary. Yo, I always say it, but
here's Xnid, by the way, at the home of champions with the Falcons, the Legends Wall. And here he is, of course, with the World Cup trophy that the Falcons won last year. And, of course, at the time, it was, you know, they did field that Saudi roster last year that they effectively brought into this season as well. So Xnid was part of that result on some level. And he's done a pretty damn good job this season on the Falcons. We do have to wonder how, you know, what that's going to look like, right? Do the Falcons really want to commit to Xnid and at least having some part of that Saudi project remain? It seems like that's true this season. But if they want to drop the mega bag and try and bring in Simp and aBeZy and whatever, then maybe it could be a bit of a harder time. But I thought that was pretty cool to see. And speaking of Scrappy and Dashy and those guys earlier, what do you think is going to happen for the CDL Awards? Now, the CDL Awards don't really exist quite like this. What they do is they give the MVP, they do give an official Rookie of the Year now, the CDL, which they didn't in the past, and then they do the All-Star teams. So that's kind of the different question. But I think GPT has it right, really. Like, I think the MVP is Scrap. It could be Cellium or HyDra. I don't think it can really be Simp. Rookie of the Year is going to be Rencor, right? But Grok actually spelled it right, so that was interesting. SMG of the Year has to be HyDra. It can't really be Shotzzy. And then AR of the Year does go to Scrap on both accounts. So I also find this interesting. Like, if SMG of the Year is Shotzzy and AR of the Year is Scrap, like, you know, how could the MVP be someone different? I don't know. Maybe it's possible if you, like, if there's a flex player or something out there. But very much interested to your thoughts on all of this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. and I'll see you next time.